tatam bhuvi grinanti ye bhurida janaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, your gospel is like nectar and bliss showered upon the pain-stricken lives of suffering humanity. It dispels all the sins and misdeeds of life. It brings welfare in life. The spiritual beauty, prosperity and grace spreads through and through one who listens to your holy message. They are the real givers who preach and pronounce the nectar of your message to the suffering humanity. Om peace, peace, peace be unto us all. So we are reading the Gospel, page 782, where Sri Ramakrishna went to Ram's house, Ramchandra Datta's house. And Sri Ramakrishna was conversing, and there the question came that his sore throat started. So he said that I took some ice cream, that's why this happening. And I prayed to Mother, "Oh Mother, make me well like a child. I shall not eat ice cream anymore like that. Make me good, make me happy." So like a child he was relating those stories. And then he said that I will no more eat ice. But a devotee had brought some ice. Again like a child, again and again the master asked him, "Shall I eat it?" So there we ended. So how Brahmagyanis, or of course Brahmagyanis and people like Ramakrishna, those who are God themselves, when they come down they behave. Even the Brahmagyanis behave. Very difficult to understand the behavior of Brahmagyanis. Sometimes they are like ghouls. Sometimes they behave like a child. Sometimes they are like a mad person. Sometimes like a person, just like ordinary person engaged in mundane talks and frivolous talk, etc. That's why they cannot be put into any regulation and formulation that they should have to follow this and that and that and that. This is for us who are building up their spiritual life. For them, rules and regulations apply. But for a knower of truth, there is no such regulation. So he just said, I gave away to Mother everything. Oh Mother, here is my good, here is my bad, here is my holiness, here is my unholiness. I have given everything. But he said that I cannot give away my truth. And untruth, I cannot say, oh, take away my truth, take away my untruth. If I give up truth, then how shall I live? But next moment we find contradiction, as it were. He said, he's established on truth, but he said, I won't take ice anymore. And then somebody bought a little ice, and Ramakrishna, like a child, said, he has brought, shall I eat? Shall I eat? Like a child sometimes wants to get a support from someone. It's not necessary. But Brahmagyanis behave like that. They are childlike. There's no ego sense. That's why M said humbly, please don't eat it without consulting the Mother. And Sri Ramakrishna could not take the ice because he has said once, and he was asking as if the favor of M, that M will say, support him. But M also said, you please ask Mother and take. So he gave up his taste for ice. Master continues, it is the Bhakta and not the Jnani who discriminates between holiness and unholiness. So Jnani, if you are a knower of truth, there is no question of analysis or discrimination. What is good, what is bad, what is to be rejected, what is to be accepted. But a bhakta, it is for the bhakta. They only discriminate between holiness and unholiness. Bijaya's mother-in-law said to me, how little I have achieved of my spiritual ideal. I cannot take food from everybody. Then I said to her, is eating everybody's food a sign of jnana? A dog eats anything and everything. Does that make it a jnani? To him, why do I eat a variety of dishes? In order not to become monotonous. Otherwise, I should have to renounce the devotees. So he is saying that all my actions are centered around the redemption of the devotees. For their good I do, to please them. We saw that some devotees, so our President Maharaj Swami Bireshwaranandaji, there are many devotees who wanted to serve, and his health was not that strong. It's a special type of food. So some devotees used to prepare and bring. And maybe sometimes more than he needs, a number of items, one devotee brings another devotee, another devotee. So he takes, like a bird, one spoon touching from each sample, and that is his lunch. Rest of the good food will be taken away by the who are attendants. They get a good food, a good meal. But it comes in the name of the Maharaj. But Maharaj, to please the devotees, takes a sample of it, and when they come, they say, today your preparation was a little salty, or it was good, or he will make a comment to please the devotees, because they think that they are serving their Guru. So giving the opportunity to others as also thinking not for himself, but for the others. That is the... So, because Bijaya's mother-in-law told that you have achieved such a state of Brahma-jnana, and you still make a distinction, I eat this, I don't eat this. Why do you do this separation? It should be all equal in Brahman stage. But in the day-to-day stage, there is difference. Bhavadvaitang sada kuriyat, kriyadvaitang nahi korachit. So you will have to see oneness in everyone. In your spirit, everyone, there is God in everyone. But you can hug only, not the tiger. You can go close to a holy man, but not to a rogue, or a killer, or a brute. You should be careful. Though it is Narayana, but you have to be careful. So,
people were going to that bad people who were taking money.
Yeah, that's a mood. It was fortunate that he had it. That when our Shiva Maharaj was walking on the street in the Hollywood Boulevard somewhere, and it was a little night, he was coming back from seeing a patient in hospital, and all buses are gone. And somebody came and just asked me, give him money. He was drug-addicted person probably. And he said, brother, I am a monk, I have no money. And then that guy gave a good blow, and he fell down into the floor, and his throat was separated, teeth bleeding, entire mouth was full of blood. But he has such a noble heart. He anyhow stood up, and in his purse he remembered there are $20 bill, one is there. So he quickly bring out, and that man then started running away because he has done the bad thing to him. But he is running after him, brother, here is $20, please take it, please take it. That's a wonderful character. But in a Vedantic way, does not mean that Thakur could not touch the food of everyone, because his mind was so sensitive. But if we start doing like that, we will be only fanatic. I don't touch this, I don't touch that. That's just it. That means you are impure in your mind. What Ramakrishna did, his sensitivity level, his body has become so pure that he could not manage to handle the touch of anyone and everyone unless they are very pure soul. So here, but that is the point. And Sri Ramakrishna gave the example, because a dog eats all types of food. Yeah? You give good sweets, it will relish, and also filthy thing, it will relish. Not the sophisticated dogs, which we have in America mostly, but Indian street dogs. They don't get anything, so they will have to survive. So whatever they get, that is there to satisfy their stomach. So for them there is no distinction. But do you think we should be like that? No, at the beginning there should be distinction. That is not a sign of a Jnani. Jnani's insight will be opened up and he will see God everywhere. And here as also everywhere. And that is the unity there. But Kriya Advaitam, in the action, there is distinction. He could, when he sees Naren, Ramakrishna will be very elated. Naren has come, Naren has come. Now you people go. Huh? There's a distinction, no? It's a Brahmajnani, he's saying you people go. Are Naren has come, you are so much attached to Naren. That is the Kriya in action, because he is more pure. That's why pure-hearted Ramakrishna is attracted to him. And there are darker covering over the mind, so you will not feel comfortable there. So spiritual people will be like that. That's why in the beginning you should have to not to hate anyone, but for our own protection we should have to think that this is, I will associate with this and not to associate with other who are not inspiring to me. So to aim, why do I eat variety of dishes? He is saying that because in order not to become monotonous. When you live in the, after acknowledging the ultimate truth, when you come down, then you live in the duality. So it should not be monotonous. Life should be joyful. So every day we cook. Suppose every day if we get the same food, who will like that food? Same rice, dal and chutney, or bhat, dal and balloon mott. In our early days, we say every day we'll get, surely we'll get. What you will get? Rice, and then you will get the lentil dal, and one mixed vegetable, and little chutney, 1 spoon. And next day you come, you can get rice, dal, chutney, and now chutney, dal, rice. Rice, dal, chutney, chutney, dal, rice. No? So, and mixed vegetable. So you become monotonous. But if you have the opportunity, why you will be monotonous? You prepare different dishes with the same ingredient. You can make khichdi one day. You can make some potato fry or doing something to make a variety. So in spiritual life also, when one comes down, he lives in variety. That's why not to be monotonous. Of course, because you are living in the level of mind again. So in that level, though they know that is one Brahman in so many costumes, but there is a variety. Otherwise, I should have to renounce the devotees. I can be myself. For people like Ramakrishna or Brahmajnanis, they don't need anybody. Many people think that, how you live alone? Many people think, how can you live alone? And many of the devotees or monks especially, they will be happy to be within themselves. It's not necessary. But they do because of the duty. There are many sadhus, if you give to them, left to themselves, they will be extremely happy to be only meditating and being in their closet. But when it is you have the duty, so you should have to meet people and see that they are Thakur's children. So try to do that. And also, for some service to them. I said to Keshav, if I instruct you more from a still higher standpoint, you won't be able to preserve your organization. In the state of jnana, organizations and things like that become unreal, like dream. So he said that I talked to Keshav, that because he was a new movement in Calcutta, was very much charged with Keshav sense philosophy, and young people all are followers of Keshav, no? College-going students. And Sri Ramakrishna is talking about the higher state of development in the mind. And he said, if I go further step, then it is only one, there is no duality. You cannot keep my group. My group to keep, you need some intelligent rules and regulations, no? How can you keep people in your group? You know, fanatic groups have many people. But Vedanta has not that much group. That's why not many people. Huh? You go to those where the teachers give, this is the only way, teaching, versus this teaching, what Vedanta teaches, every way is the leading to God. More people go to those people where people say, this is the only way. You go to heaven or you go to hell. If you don't follow, then you go to hell. There are more people. So, that is the dualistic approach. And if you really go towards oneness, then this group you have formed, Brahma movement, you cannot continue anymore, because you will see the oneness. They will say Brahma, then you will say, as we say, some people write us so many letters. Some say, yesterday I got a beautiful letter. Someone wrote that he was a Christian pastor or minister, and he was continuing his preaching and this and that, and he came in touch with Vedanta, how Vedanta has transformed him, and how he understands that how wrong is that to think only one way is the only way. And he has written so openly in his heart opening that has let me understand my Christ more liberally than I used to know the Christ I knew before. After knowing Vedanta, I know Christ much more in actual who is Christ. That is Satchidananda. So that perspective they got. If it is Satchidananda, and from Satchidananda ocean waves come, one is called Rama, another is Christ, then what is the distinction? Then you will lose your own group. This is the only way that group will go away. So that is the teaching is giving to Keshav, that if I instruct you from a still higher standpoint, then you won't be able to preserve your organization. In the state, jnana, organization and things like that become unreal. Even then, it becomes unreal. It is not necessary. It is not the ultimate truth. It is only appearance. We are reading the other day. It is appearance only. Like dream. One time I gave up fish. At first I suffered from it. Afterwards it didn't bother me much. If someone burns up a bird's nest, the bird flies about. It takes shelter in the sky. If a man truly realizes that the body and the world are unreal, then his soul attains samadhi. So he said that our attachment with anything, if once given up, then you can be free like a bird. You can fly. And the sky, you can take shelter in the sky. That means you live in eternity. Sky is vast, open. If a man truly realizes that the body and the world are unreal, then his soul attains samadhi. When really we understand this, all this world I see is only like a dream world. It is not true, this shape, and it depends on my mind. When one goes beyond the mind, pure mind state, then it reaches the samadhi state. Formerly I had the state of mind of a jnani. I could not enjoy the company of men. I would hear that a jnani or a bhakta lived at a certain place. Then a few days later, I would learn that he was dead. Everything seemed to me impermanent, so I could not enjoy people's company. Later, the mother brought my mind down to the lower plane. So she changed my mind that I could enjoy love of God and His devotees. So Thakur, that's why it's called, Holy Mother kept me and told me to stay in Bhava Mukha. There is a terminology used in the Lila Prasanga, the great master, or the divine play. That Divine Mother said, if he is in Samadhi state, this world is unreal. We have no attraction for anything. Why you will be attracted to something dream when you can stay in the state of perfect bliss, Satchidananda, in the sea. If you can swim in the ocean of Satchidananda bliss, why will we seeing the duality and conflict and confusion and all these things? But Mother, Divine Mother, pulled his mind down to the level of bhakta. Bhakta means duality. Jnani means oneness. This is the language is to be understood here. Jnani, whenever Ramakrishna means Jnani, he is one with the divinity, one with the purity, one with Satchidananda. Bhakta, enjoying. Jnani becomes one. And Bhakta enjoys. That story, that when you, Swamiji, Naren, Ramakrishna asked, suppose there is a cup full of what you call honey or syrup. So you are like a bee or an ant. So how shall you enjoy that? Well, I will stand on the edge and suck little. And then Ramakrishna, why not go into the middle? Then I will die. So I will die means this I, who was enjoying, that will die. But Ramakrishna said, no one dies there. It is the ocean of immortality, no? Amrita. So there, no one dies, rather everyone gets the eternal life, no? So that is the Jnani state. But if you want to be bhakta, then you have to come down one step. And one step coming down, you sit on the edge and enjoy the bliss. That's the enjoyment comes. Bhakta comes, Bhagavan comes, Bhagavat comes. That's why this story, Bhagavat Bhakta Bhagavan. On special days, our Dayaprana gives that joy. But sometimes we mistakenly say Bhagavat. Bhagavat no, Bhagavat. Bhagavat is the holy text. Bhagavat, the text, holy text. Bhakta, the devotee. And Bhagavan, the Lord. They are all one. Ramakrishna saw in a mystic vision that one Pandit was studying the scripture for him, and he was sitting there, and he found that a beam of light came from Sri Krishna, touched the Bhagavat, the book, and triangle, it made. That's they are pulling that Bhagavat, the holy text, Bhakta, the devotee, and Bhagavan, the Lord. They are all one. So that will be the state of jnana. But when you enjoy, then you become a bhakta. Bhakta wants to make a separation from the truth. Enjoyer, enjoyment. For enjoyer, enjoyment, there will be a little difference should be kept. See, enjoyment example. Suppose you get good ice cream. Ice cream is there, your tongue is here, and you see ice cream. You don't get joy. You can get good joy. Ice cream, wow, wow. But you can take and put into the tongue. So if you keep in that state of putting into the tongue and enjoying, that is still then you are enjoyer. You are enjoying the ice cream. But when the enjoyer, this object merges with the enjoyer, this ice cream goes into the tongue and it is become a part of the body, then what happens? Where is the enjoyer? Where is the enjoyment? Object? Where is ice cream anymore? That ice cream is gone. He become one with the person enjoyer. So enjoyer, enjoyment, and the action of enjoyment, three things become one. So, but enjoyment is that take this ice cream and touch in the tongue and say, that is enjoyment. So Ramakrishna wanted to stay in that state to enjoy Brahman, enjoy God, and keeping a little distance. But very difficult for ordinary people, difficult. But he is incarnation, God Himself, so he can do that. Next, the Master began to talk about the Divine Incarnation. Divine Incarnation, avatar. What he said? Master to him, do you know why God incarnates Himself as a man? That's a common question. And he's putting that question for all of us. Why? Do you know why God, who is the creator, sustainer and destroyer, by whose will the entire universe is running? What a universe! What a complicated mechanism. This body, see? Body mechanism, who can all put all the scientists together? Still they have not understood. What is this body mechanism? And what about that everything you look around? So much mystery. And He is God, He created all these things. So the question is that God will come down as a human being? How possible? That's why, do you know why God comes, incarnates Himself as a man? It is because through a human body one can hear His words. He sports through it. He tastes divine bliss through a human body. But through His other devotees, God manifests only a small part of Himself. For the devotees, like ordinary people, they can enjoy. Ramakrishna gave the example that an ant came and got one grain of sugar. And he was so happy. He took one grain in his mouth and thought that I will come to take the whole stock, mountain of sugar. So, we ordinary people, even if one grain we get, that's enough, my God. But for avatar, it's a huge thing. Ramakrishna gave the example, ordinary people is like a float in the river. And some float is there, even a crow sits on the float, it sinks. It is so light. But there are floats. You can tie an elephant can go. That means avatars are like boat, big boat. Ordinary Brahmogyanis, ordinary holy people, they are like small, little thing. They can manage themselves anyhow to cross. But they have no power to help others like avatars. Avatars are for the world. So it is because through a human body, one can hear His words. We are hearing His words, Ramakrishna's words. If He has not incarnated, where will you get this? We read Gospel, Holy Bible. If Christ was not come, where will you get it? We can hear Him. He sports through it. Through these, I can understand how Ramakrishna used to sport, talk, speak, go around, smile, dance, sing, into ecstasy. He tests divine bliss through human body. God tests the divine through the human body. But through his other devotees, God manifests only a small part of himself. A devotee is like something you get a little juice from after much sucking. Like a flower, you get a drop of honey from after much sucking. There are certain flowers, no? You can suck and you can find the juice. But you have to know what to suck. You may suck poison also. But we used to, in our childhood days, there are certain types of flowers, they bloom, and you suck it, there is honey. And all the flowers, the butterfly and other, they sit and suck those. So during going to school or coming back, those types of flowers was an attracting thing. So they can suck little that much. Ordinary, we are happy with that. But Avatara, they can suck the huge amount of energy. That's why when he goes to Samadhi, his face beams with joy. Do you understand this? He is asking to M. M says, yes, sir, very well. Sri Ramakrishna began to talk to Dija. Dija is a young boy who was about 16 years old. His father had married a second time. Dija often accompanied M to Dakshineshwar, and Sri Ramakrishna was fond of him. The boy said that his father opposed his coming to Dakshineshwar. Naturally, his father was not happy that a boy of 16 now and going to a crazy man who is called Ramakrishna. So he didn't like it. And he used to oppose. And even that happens in every home, because parents have their own expectation. No? He will be, what expectation? 2-3 words are there for parents. One thing, study well, get a good education, and marry. Simply you will marry and get a good job, good money, and then you have a grandson, finished. That's the expectation of most of the most of the parents have this type of expectation. Few will say, you go and realize God. No, very rare. But that's why Dija's father is also like that. Rakhal's father was like that. Brahmananda's father, he thought that he is the boy. He will inherit this so much property and land he had, and he is becoming a monk and running after a mad guy, Ramakrishna. He was very opposed to that. But after some time when he came there and saw men, big guys of the society, no? Deputy magistrate, this big college professor, these, that, big guys are coming. So he thought, no. Then he relaxed a little bit, allowed Brahmananda, Rakhal to go to Sri Ramakrishna a little bit. But say that is the expectation. So Dija's father was opposed to his coming to Ramakrishna. So the master, and your brother too, do they speak slightly of me? Dija did not answer. So master said, your brother is also opposing you as your father? And then M says to the master, those who speak slightingly of you will be cured of it after getting a few more blows from the world. Because they are talking badly about Ramakrishna. Yeah, there are many people used to, even Jogin Maharaj's mother, no? Father. He said that how much I prayed to Mother Kali that this guy should die early. Trigunatita's father. So Trigunatitananda used to So his father, I think, anyhow, some of the direct disciples' father, he said that, I was praying to Makali when it will die. When he will die, because he is spoiling the head of our children. They would have high education, they could finish their school, they could not do that, they could not finish, they could not get a good job, they could not get married, and then they got running after Ramakrishna.
Devita's father, even in Kali Ghat, he arranged some special puja.
Puja for him, yeah. He said, I arranged a special puja so that the guy dies early, so that after his death, my son will come back to my home. So, but by that also, they get benefit. This is the beauty. This is the master's answer is very important. Those who speak slightingly of you will be cured of it after getting a few more blows from the world. That means, if you think of God in whatever way, you will be benefited. But the world will give some blows, something will come, then we feel, where is my place, where shall I go? All money, all wealth, all this, all that means nothing for me, no? When death comes, when suffering comes, what will do your bank balance? What will do your good house? But those are for the worldly people. They need some good blows. Again, don't mind that we are worldly people here. Our devotees are not worldly. Worldly means those who only hanker after money and hold on to their for selfish ends and cheating people and making all types of misdeeds. They hoard money like that. That type of people, attached to tremendously attached. So he said, by thinking of God in any way you like, with love you go or you hate it. If you hate, that is also good, because you think more. How much you think whom you love. Whom you love you may forget even. Okay, he is there or she is there, but you may forget. But who is your enemy, you cannot forget. Even in your sleep you will think, oh my God, he is like that. So you will think, Kongso, that's why Kongso was a greater devotee. Why? Kongso could not sleep whole day under current in the mind. Krishna is born. Krishna is going to born. Krishna will kill me. Is he born now? Which son? The firstborn. Oh no, firstborn. Okay, maybe secondborn. He's coming. Day and night he's singing Krishna, 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 Krishna. So those who really hate God, they reach much faster. That's called Satru Bhave Sadhan. Spiritual practice, thinking God as enemy. So for God, any attitude you take, you reach God. Because God is like a candy, or sugar candy. You keep it on the right side, it will, in your mouth, it will be sweet. Left side, it will be sweet. Under the tongue, it will be sweet. Above the tongue, it will be sweet. Wherever you put in your life, God, that's why any mood, any attitude we carry for God, that purifies us. Of course, in this journey we get some knocks and blows of life. So when we get those knocks and blows, then what happens? Our attachment goes away. Is it not? Suppose I am attached to something, and this attachment is going on and on and on. Then suddenly a blow comes from him or her whom you love, or whom you depend, whom you trust. Then what happens? Then you say, oh Lord, why it is happening in my life? Why this is, I trust, I have my full faith and trust, and see I am betrayed. No? Then you come back to God. So for them, that's why M says, when they get real blows from the world, they understand this world is unreal. God is the reality. My son is in the right path because he is choosing the path of God, which will give them eternal freedom and liberation. Rather, I am wrong. I am spending my time in a way to be in a worldly and to be happy with the worldly things. Then, after a silent moment, Master says that you make friendship with Purna and other things. Then Sri Ramakrishna looked steadily at Dija, and Master said, well, there are so many youngsters in the city. Why does this boy come here? Tell me what you think. Certainly he has inherited some good tendencies from his previous birth. Why anyone is attracted to God, you know that you have some good karma of the past. And Ramakrishna himself is asking, there are so many 16-year-old boy in Calcutta, is it not? But why this boy Dija, whose name is Dija, he is attracted. Why he comes to me? Ramakrishna is giving this certificate. He has his good karma of the past, that's why he is attracted. So this is the point. Anyone is attracted to God in any condition, know that you have your good karma. And to do more so that our mind will be more involved into God consciousness. There is, Sri Ramakrishna said, there is such a thing as inborn tendencies. Inborn tendencies. When a man has performed many good actions in his previous births, in the final birth he becomes guileless. In the final birth he acts somewhat like a mad cat. That means when after many lives good karma, one's mind becomes pure, he feels attracted to God, and his tendencies take him towards pure life. As a result, they become like a childlike. Some people think in spiritual life you should be intelligent, but spiritual life is guilelessness. We hear about Ramakrishna's mother. How guileless was she? Ramakrishna himself, how guileless was he? So spirituality goes with guilelessness. We have seen many of our stalwart Swamis. They are very guileless. If you go and tell them something, they will believe you. Because they cannot think that you are telling lie. But once they understand, then you are in trouble. So long they cannot catch that trickery. But when they catch this, then you are done. But first they believe it. That's why there was our Tejushananda Maharaj. Tejushananda Maharaj was Brahmananda Maharaj's disciple. He saw mother also. He was the principal of our college, Vidya Mandir College, first college in Belur. And he was such very intelligent, very learned in those days to have high qualification and running a college. But everyone used to take advantage of him. Suppose someone has done something, he goes first and reports to him. Maharaj, this has happened, and it gets into his brain. And then you go to tell, no Maharaj, this is this. He will be so mad with you and fire you. You telling lie. He came and told me like that. Somebody said something, first come, and that he gets the ground. Because he cannot tell lie. First come, first serve. So that's why everyone used to go. Who can go first to report? Because of his guilelessness. They cannot believe that someone will be telling lies and other things. So when a man has performed many good actions in his previous births, in the final birth, Ramakrishna is saying, that is his final birth, when he becomes guileless. People think that you should be very intelligent, very crooked. To live in the world, you have to be crooked. Yes, that is the way of the world maybe. You may be a little fool. What is there in it? But be guileless to God. Be simple. It is called sorol. Who is sorol? Sorol means simple, guileless. Sorol na hole sorol ke pawa jaya na. One cannot reach God who is ever simple without you becoming simple. With a crooked mind, you cannot reach God. In the final birth, he acts somewhat like a madcap. Sometimes that's why his behavior appears to others like irrational. No? Ramakrishna is Pagla Thakur. He was called the madcap. Mad Paramhansa, Dakshineshwar. To tell you the truth, everything happens by God's will. Who will believe this? We are hearing so many times, we are reading the books. I am 27 years, every Tuesday or Wednesday, since I came, I am doing this class. So how many times we read? Who believes these things? He says, to tell the truth, everything happens by God's will. If you think like that, what is your worries? What is your anxieties? What you are going to lose? What you are to plan? If everything is by the will of God, who are you? Why are you planning? Why are you thinking? Why don't you be simple and surrender to God? Plan. And this type of people will be always criticized because they are impractical. We are very practical. You be practical in your own life. But this is the spiritual practicality comes here.
Isn't it that I am planning by the will of God?
If you think so, then you have no tension. Your planning is also God. His planning is also God. His scolding is also God. Your love is also God. Your working is God. Your tiredness is also God. So God, there is no question. My planning will not be there. This is God's planning then. So God's planning, and what is happening, God's will. So you should accept everything, ungrudgingly, unquestionably. It is not come unless the pure heart is very pure. Understand the simplicity. That simplicity will come only if we think everything is happening by God's will. We want to think that this should be done this way, that should be done. Okay. That intelligence God has given, we should have to exercise in our level. But a person who can raise his consciousness and see the God's hand in everything, bad thing, it's God's will. Good things, God will. No? It's all, everything happening by God's will. So if that happens, then you are in free. That's the freedom. We are not free. Even I think it should be done, and you do more patch. RI patch. RI patch, 2.5 rounds, like jalebi. Have you understood jalebi? It is 2.5. 2 rounds and half. And you cannot get out of it. So it is so intertwined, no? So always we think we have to make a jalebi for everything in life. Understand, intelligent, this. Go. But there is a higher state. This is the higher state. That everything is happening. Without God's will, nothing happens. Bad, health hazard, healthy, joy, someone's misbehaved with me. Everything is happening for the cosmic will, for my spiritual benefit. Only one word can solve all our miseries. Then you will be always happy. Happiness is also, if sukha or dukkha, happiness or misery, health or disaster, suffering or anything happening in the physical world. If you see God's will is going on, then how free we will be. In Vedantic way, in Bhakta way. Bhakta will think that it is God's will. Jnani also. Jnani, real Jnani, sees that it is some divine will. They see that it is Maya, in the Maya's play. So it is Maya's place. I am unaffected. How I can be unaffected? How I can separate out? That is the major point. As a bhakta, it is God's will. So you are not to be blamed or you are not to be praised. But when someone praises me, I am happy. Then you cannot say God's will. So long someone blames me and I am morose, then don't say that you are a devotee. You have not reached that state yet. So when you will see God's hand in pleasure and in pain, in suffering and in joy, in death and in life, so then you know that you have reached a state of perfection. When he says, yeah, everything comes to pass, means God. When he, means God, says, nay, everything comes to a standstill. Why is it that one man should not bless? Why is it that one man should not bless another? Because nothing can happen by man's will. Things come to pass or disappear by God's will. So this is a very strong statement, God's will. But how much we hear, again our ego will come. But to remember is God. If we can do that one day, 1 minute, that moment is a blessed moment. Even in our life struggle, I forget all the time, but even one moment I think that is God's will happening, then you are free. You have no responsibility. God is doing everything. Just be an unwilling instrument. We are reading that there as how the Jnani lives. He lives like if a slough. Slough means, the snake, the body of the snake, old skin of the snake. When the snake's old body, skin becomes old, they leave that skin after some time and comes out of the skin, no? As the slough moves with the wind, these holy people, they move in the world without any tension, any attachment, any bondage, anything, because it is God's will. Everything is happening by God's will. The other day I went to Captain's house. I saw some young boys going along the road. They belong to a different class. I saw one of them, about 19 or 20 years old, with his hair parted on the side. He was whistling as he walked along. In those days, that was considered very arrogant. No? Society was so polite and humble. So someone is going whistling in front of the seniors. In Indian culture, they think, oh my God, before any senior you should be humble. No? So seeing that, Sri Ramakrishna says, he is of a different nature. He is a bhakti bhakta, will have a different sign. I see some immersed in the thickest tamas. They play flute and are proud of it. To Dija, why should a man of knowledge be afraid of criticism? If you are a man of wisdom, why you should be afraid of criticism? And some Swamis used to teach us that if someone criticizes you thank him. Because he's asking you to become good, as also he's taking your bad karma. You think of something, what you think, something good, that means your mind is saturated with good thought. If you see something wrong in others always, so the wrong you are taking, your mind is getting the color of the wrong things. So you are withdrawing the wrong thing from other and putting in your garbage. If you go to the outside dirty area and there are so many garbage, some people are habituated to see a garbage. Oh, the garbage! Let it be in my pocket. And bring it in your room and sleep with the garbage. Happy? Because someone is bad, someone's garbage. And we take it joyfully. And we make our life hell. A good person will not look at that. That's why he says, someone immersed in the thickest tamas. So if someone criticizes, so why a person of knowledge will be afraid of that? His understanding is as immovable as the anvil in a blacksmith shop. Blows from the hammer fall continually on the anvil, but cannot affect it in the least. That is a scriptural instruction. Example. They give this example. Anvil, blacksmith anvil, do you see? Do you know? Anvil of a blacksmith. That does not get any change. But the blacksmith, the person, puts the iron into the heat. When it is red hot, and brings it, and with the hammer, it hits on the anvil. Anvil does not change. This design comes out of the piece of iron, which is heated iron. So anvil remains anvil. So a Brahmagyani will remain like an anvil. A Bhakta will remain like anvil. Whatever comes, they will remain unaffected, thinking whatever spiritual thought. Where is it missed? Anyhow, so anvil does not change. Master said he is a very artless man, and the master said, but he had red eyes. That's a symptoms, another thing. Master said, I was talking to Captain, and I said, nothing exists except Purusha and Prakriti. Narada said to Rama, O Rama, all the men you see are parts of yourself, and all the women are parts of Sita. Captain was highly pleased. He said, you alone have the right perception. All men are really Rama, being parts of Rama. All women are really Sita, being the part of Sita. Immediately after saying this, he began to criticize the young devotees. He said, they study English book and don't discriminate about their food. It is not good that they should visit you frequently. It may do harm. Hajra is a real man, a grand fellow. Don't allow these young people to visit you so much. At first, this is the comment from whom? Coming from a captain. Vishwanath Upadhyay is the name of the gentleman, captain. Sri Ramakrishna said, at first I said, what can I do if they come? Then I gave him some mortal blows. His daughter laughed, and I said to him, God is far, far away from the worldly minded. But God is very near the man, nay, with a distance of 3 cubits, whose mind is free from worldliness. Speaking to Rakhal, Captain said, he eats with all sorts of people. Perhaps he had heard it from Hajra. Thereupon I said to him, a man may practice intense austerity and japa, but he won't achieve anything if his mind dwells on the world. But blessed is the man who keeps his mind on God, even though he eats pork. He will certainly realize God, and in due time. Hajra, with all his austerity and japa, does not allow any opportunity to slip by for earning money and broker. So he is saying that people criticize Ramakrishna because he talks about God, and others said, why these bad boys whose character is not good in their eyes, why they come to you? So Sri Ramakrishna said, what can I do if they come to me? But that is the worldly mind's attitude, that they should not be permitted. You should have only deal with the holy people. So that's why he says that Hajra is there, and he gives this negative thinking to the people who come to Ramakrishna. Say that So Hazra is always a higher category person and Ramakrishna is less spiritual, so he has to protect it. Okay? So we end here. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. But surprisingly, this is the place which we ended today. I ended in January of 21 in 2004. So after how many years now? 17 years, I am in the same spot. Okay, there is a question from Akshay Bhatia. Some people commit bad actions and they say it is God's will. They use God's will as an excuse for their bad tendencies and actions. What will you say about this? Yes, very good question. We always do that. If I do any bad karma, what can I do? God is doing everything. So he is doing, it's not my doing. But that is not a sincere approach. That's not a sincere response. So we should have to be careful. Yes, it is not so easy to say only that everything is God's will. You have to believe, you have to act, and you have to do things in both ways. Only good is mine, and bad has God has done. That story again, we remind again and again, the story of the Brahmin who has prepared a beautiful garden, and in that garden a cow came, and cow was eating away the beautiful flowers, and garden is smashed. So he got mad, and then he threw a piece of stone or something, and it hit the cow, and the cow died. So it was the sin has occurred by killing innocent cow. You could have driven away, but you should not kill him. But he did. As a result of this sinful act, this Yama's messenger came and wanted to take him to hell. Then he said, hey, wait. I didn't do anything. Who did it? My hand has done. Your hand is your hand. But no. Controller of the hand is Indra. In our Vedanta, the stories there are here. Eyes are responsible God, one God is there. Sun God. Ear, wind God. So anyhow, Indian ideas is that every sense organ has its own controller, control point is there. So he is the God. So I didn't do. My hand acted by the will of Indra. So go. I do not do anything. Indra knows only. Well, okay. So he reported to the god of death. So see, this man is saying that his hand has done, he has not done, so I cannot catch him. So go to Indra. So he went to Indra. Indra said, no, wait. I will solve this problem, let me wait. Then Indra came in the form of a nice Brahmin man, and in the garden, entering into the garden, he started praising every beautiful roses and flowers and dahlias and this and that. I said, who did this? Who did that? Where did you get it? Oh, how? And he said, I did it, I brought it, I have to collect this from this garden, that garden, and I have to water it, I have to weed it out, and I did. And then Indra suddenly opened his eyes. Then, beta, for every good thing you have done, for the bad thing your hand has done and I have done, no? Get out. So, he was caught by that Jama's emissaries and took him. So the point is that should be very illogical, irrational, and not like a devotee, genuine devotee. This can be in the cheating world. In the world of cheating, it is okay. But we cannot cheat God. If we think it is God's everything, So, yes, good is also by God, bad is also by God. I have no responsibility. You have not seen such people probably. You will find those who are dedicated totally to God, for their happiness, for their misery. Their face is always joyful, cheerful. They don't get affected by anything what we are affected. Because we have our ego, and they have surrendered that ego to God. Because you have surrendered to God's will, and God is doing, so what is your business? Huh? Suppose you are a subordinate worker under a boss, and if the boss takes up the whole thing in his hand, it is his responsibility. He says, hey, go, do this. You did that. So if anything bad happens, responsibility goes to the boss. So do we do our every work consulting God? Before my hand moves, did I say, oh Lord, what shall I do? Shall I go this way? Guide me. And this constant prayer, and identification with the divine, then we can say it is God's will. Otherwise, what you said, Akshay, that is good, that no, the God's will, God, some committing bad actions and then saying it is God's will, if it is consciously done, that is not God's will, its consequence will come upon the person who does that. If I do, I will get it. You do, you will get it. Good action, good, bad, that is the law. Swami Vivekananda tells about that. Okay, thank you.
So now if anyone is...
No, okay, bolche. Bolo.
So my question is, what if the person holds the very opposite view? Meaning, whatever good, it's God's glory, and whatever bad, I did.
I think that's a beginning stage is good. To take the responsibility. I did the bad thing, so that I will improve. That should be a very good beginning. But it may also make you depressed too much, that I am bad. But at the very beginning it is good to take the responsibility that I did something wrong. It is my fault, I should improve on that. And then gradually, if the mind becomes more pure, thinking of God, only thinking of God, mind can be pure. Otherwise, mind cannot be pure. Keep the mind in anything, mind takes its shape and size. You keep in noble thought, mind will be noble. You keep in negative thought, mind will be negative. In your dream, negativity will come. Because it goes to the subconscious. It does not stay on the conscious plane. It goes dive deep into subconscious. And that it makes your nature also. Afterwards, repeated that type of thinking, negative thinking or positive thinking, changes your character. You become a sadhu character, you become a asadhu character. In Hindu, English, Sanskrit they say, holy character or unholy character by repeated thinking. So thought has a big effect in our spiritual life. Yeah, Bolo.
So in case of like say, some person, what you said like that if boss asks you to do something, then that thing will go to boss's account. Now say Bin Laden type of people, they brainwashed some person and then appointed to do bad things.
It will go to him.
It will go to Bin Laden,
But
not to that person.
no, that person, if he has no ego, then it will pass to him. Not saying will not do. You did that everything. You instigated. You prepared the plan. You have appointed the person. So you did everything. Where is God here?
Not God. Whoever the boss
The person who acted upon that, if he is totally surrendered, is like an instrument is doing, like a gun. Do you blame the gun? Through which the bullet runs. The person who is holding the gun. So you become an instrument only gun, then you have nothing to do. You don't get affected. But the person who is doing, is he so? No. He has his also ego, he has his also inclination, he liked that activity, he was appointed that way, he wanted to act in that realm. A holy person will not do that. You cut to pieces. Suppose someone is a good person, I will die in the... They know if you are striking the tower, you will die. So dying there or dying here, what is the matter? I will not do that wrong thing. Or if he is totally like the Rama, Thakur's example. By Rama's will, I was sleeping outside. By Rama's will, I could not sleep because it was warm, hot weather. By Rama's will, the burglars were going. By Rama's will, they saw me and they pushed me out and put the load on my head. By Rama's will, I was carrying, and then police suddenly chased. By Rama's will, they all ran away. By Rama's will, I was caught and I was taken to jail. By Rama's will, they have brought me to the court, and Your Highness, before you, and I am here by God's will, so Rama's will. So that is a sincere statement. If someone does, even his body is cut to pieces, it matters little. He is not affected. He knows that's also happening by God's will. So it's a very great high state to think that everything is happening in God's will. To hold on there is a very, very, very difficult. Even if you get into it, the world will test you so much, the next moment you fall down. You are trying to think that it's God's will going on. Okay, let it happen, oh mother, let thy will be done. But circumstances, situation will come to knock you out. And then you will say, you get reacted again. So that's the wrong, the effect of our normal life is disturbed that way. How we will be simple, which type of good karma we need for our spiritual growth. How will be simple? How can I say? Simple means think of God. There is no other formula. Think of Ramakrishna, you will be inheriting the quality what Ramakrishna was embodiment of those qualities. If you think of an angry guy, your mind will be colored with anger. If you look at the face of Ramakrishna in Samadhi, your mind will be little touched by the holiness and joy. Is it not? Tell me. I give two pictures. One a violent, virulent face, torturing somebody, and another face, Ramakrishna, is smiling in ecstasy. Will that not create two types of impression in our mind? So that is the point. We will be simple because we have to think of simple. And who is simple? Everything is complex and compound in the world. Panchabhuta, combination. Only simple is God. God is the only simple. Satchidananda is the simplest thing. That's why purity of the heart. Purity of the heart, that means we have to think noble thought. All the spiritual practices we do, our prayer, our meditation, our selfless activity, our Vedantic analysis, which is permanent, impermanent, all these will help us to become simple. And good karma we need for our spiritual growth. Thinking itself is the good karma. If we every moment be aware of it, that I will have to pay emphasis, I am doing for God. You are working in your office, but you are doing for God and God only. So when I think that I am doing, I forget, again I think, that makes my mind pure, and that makes my mind simple. But first don't be very simple in the world. So long you are not reached that point, that there are those people who are not simple, they will squeeze your head. They will create big trouble for you. Don't be so simple to complicated people in front of complicated. You have to show some complication there. If you are too simple in this world where there is too much complicated nature of people, then you will be tortured. You will, if you have so much power to withstand them, But you should not. You should not be simple to a simple person. Though you remain your simplicity inside, and to protect yourself, you will have to be little complex, maybe little compound. So depending on the situation, not to hurt anyone, not to do harm to anyone, but for my protection. So that is the way we are. Think of God, think of God, think of God. Do japa, do japa, do japa. This is all. There is no other solution. I do not know what may be the solution. 20 point, 10 point, 8 point, this way, that way, all these points and things are very simple. Think of God. By whatever means, whatever ways, think of God, that's the solution. Okay? Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So tomorrow, 7:30, Swami Sattvayananda, Gita class, Bhagavad Gita class. Okay? Thank you.